Hello folks, today I wanted to show you one of the newer acquisitions and how I modified it to forward date it just a little bit. This is an Athearn primed for Grime, SD38 decorated for the GATX Locomotive Group, specifically GMTX 3300. The prototype started life as Penn Central 6939 before becoming Conrail 6939, then Norfolk Southern 3809. It made its way into the GATX fleet in 2014, and the Athearn model looks to be a good representation of the real thing after it was patched in those early years, at least when looking at the Railroad Picture Archives photos. The earliest photos of it as 3300 are from 2015, and then it jumps to 2021, and in those years at some point, the original trucks were replaced with flexi-coil C-type trucks. I want to forward date my model slightly, so I need to change the trucks, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I pre-ordered this model back when it was first announced in 2023, going with the sound-equipped version with the Economy decoder by Soundtrax. Why I cannot say specifically, as the DC version probably would have been better for me personally. The decoder sounds fine, but at this point this is not what I want to run, as I have my own preferences for decoders. After making sure the locomotive functioned well, I wanted to make some changes, and swapping the decoder to a Loc 5. First I removed the side frames entirely from the trucks, fairly simple. I then applied a brown paint pen to the wheel faces. This is going to act as a base for the black, gray, and brown mixture of grime that I'm going to apply with just a simple paintbrush. I find that giving the metal wheel faces a coat of this paint pen helps the acrylic paint stick just a little better. So the NS, Conrail, GMTX, and the Cargill versions of the SD38 is from this release by Athearn. They all come with the side frames that have 3 brake cylinders, as opposed to the 2 brake cylinder side frames you see on the McLeod River and the Southern Pacific versions of the SD38 from this release. So I was going to need to find some replacement side frames that I could swap out so I could forward date my locomotive just a little bit. Luckily, I found the correct trucks from Aero Hobby, also known as PPW/A-Line. I ordered up a set. I used a plank of wood with some nails in it to help me make the brake lines and get the distance between the bends correct. I put the nails roughly at the ends of what the cylinder distance is, and then made my initial bends around those nails and then followed up with some needle nose pliers. I used a pin vise to drill out holes from the ends of the brake cylinders and then just carefully inserted each end of the brake lines into those brake cylinders, and we have the nice new detail that you see on higher end models. I then painted the brake lines black with a little Tamiya black out of a bottle with a paintbrush. The paint doesn't stick really well, so you have to be a little careful, but if you're not messing with it too much, it should be fine. I will mention briefly that the recording of some of these videos is a little out of order, so you'll see the old side frames now on this portion, so just kind of ignore that. So I want to install a decoder of my choice, a 21-pin Loc 5, and to take the shell off an Athearn to get to the motherboard, first create the universe. After you create the universe, unscrew the coupler pockets and the usual 2 screws that you'll find on Athearns. Usually there's one on the back left, one on the front right. With those screws out, you can just gently pop the shell off, but it also helps to make sure all of the coupler pocket is removed, so make sure you pull that out. And then we have the interior. We've got wiring going to the ditch lights at the back, the front, the headlight, and we got the speaker and everything. This is just a 21-pin style decoder on a 21-pin adapter board. Very simple. This is going to be an easy swap. I have a chip puller here, and I'm going to use this to make it easier to carefully pry the decoder out of that 21-pin socket, and I just gently rock it back and forth while pulling straight up. And this is just a 21-pin style decoder. That's pretty cool. This will make it a lot easier to swap to this Loc 5, as opposed to the Athearn Genesis, where if for some reason you have the sound version and you want to swap it, you have to remove the entire motherboard. I much prefer this solution. Eventually these wires will get soldered to the board. I'd like those more solid connections, and I don't like the plastic clips, so I'll do that eventually, but for now, it's fine. I'd also like to add a cab interior. That's going to be a future thing, I think. And before I forget, the sound project that I chose for this model is S0777, and you can find that on the ESU downloads page for Loc 5 decoders. You should be able to find it there. It has the dual exhaust and is recorded from an SD38, so it should be a good fit for this model. really quickly I'm going to show you what I changed in the Loc programmer to make some adjustments, make this swap be a little bit more straightforward. Changed the address to 3300, of course, very simple. And then I went to motor settings and I bumped CV2 up to a value of 4. That gave me the nicest, smoothest, slow speed start. Still gave me a really good creep. I didn't run the auto-tune feature. I might do that later though. For the function outputs, for the rear ditch lights, auxiliary 5 you will not need. It does not use auxiliary 5 for any of the rear ditch lights. It uses auxiliary 3 and 4 on this motherboard. And I realize I don't know which auxiliary is left and right, so I'm just going to get rid of the left and right part of the names because honestly it doesn't really matter. Next, you want to make sure the phase shift on one of them is halfway, or about halfway, or close to it. Basically, you want the rear ditch lights to match kind of the front ditch lights. Make sure that grade crossing box is checked, LED mode is checked, adjust your brightness if you want. It's set to ditch light type 1, so all good there. And then here on the function mapping, you can see function 13 is the rear ditch lights. I don't like that. I'm going to uncheck auxiliary 4 and 5 because that's what it was set to initially. I moved the rear ditch lights to function 5. Function 6 is front ditch lights for all of my other locomotives. I figured I'm not really using function 5 for anything. I'll move the rear ditch lights there. I'll also mention function 4 is the dynamic brake on most Loc sound diesel sound profiles. I went ahead and just unchecked the box for the sound for the dynamic brake, so that sound will not play now if you hit function 4. I might remap something else there at some point, but it's fine for now. Going to the sound selection, the horn I want is a P3. In the sound profile for this locomotive, it is number 12, so I bumped that up to number 12, so we have the correct horn. And that is pretty much it. I've already swapped the couplers to KDs. I eventually will put a cab interior in this. I'd like to give it a flat coat of paint and then start some weathering, a little bit of streaking down the fuel tank, do some fading and chipping and all those nice weathering effects. I also have to install the front and rear coupler cut levers. They are included in the kit, as well as some piping for the fuel tank, but that's going to be a bit of a future endeavor, I think. And if you want to forward date your GATX 3300 from Athearn, I will say, as of 2025 at the very least, this locomotive is now in the GATX blue and white paint scheme, so this is no longer correct if you're doing hyper-contemporary, present-day railroading, but that doesn't matter to me too much. I like it how it is. But it's a little bit more personalized, and I like it a lot. The gray side frames will also be darkened a bit when it gets weathered, so I kind of like the gray, but it'll be toned down a bit for sure. But that's going to do it for this one. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos, and I will see you in the next one. Hello, and thank you for tuning into the channel. First off, I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all who have subscribed recently. My channel jumped in 2 weeks from 1,200 subscribers to about 1,800 subscribers. The video I uploaded of the Union Pacific diesel being lifted up at the grade crossing has like 100,000 views. It's my most viewed video. That's really cool. It was neat to see the explosion of interest. So I wish every video could be like that, but I don't think they're going to be. But I hope you stick around. As you can see, we got a lot on the workbench. We've got so many things happening right now. I've got about 3 or 4 videos right now in various processes of being recorded and scripts being written and that sort of thing. A lot of it is just me waiting on parts and deliveries. But that's gonna do it right now for this video. I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Very excited about this SD38. I think it's really cool. It's my first primed for Grime patched diesel from Athearn. I think they did a really nice job. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.